I want to know, as a 22-year-old female, are you excited for the future?
Yes, I am. The job market, the economy, the cost of living, all of that. It is so easy to fall back and be negative about it and worry about it. But I think I've gotten to a good point where I've been able to switch that and know that I don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay. I kind of hit a dry spot where I was working from home. I was remote. I was the only girl who stayed in the house over the summer. So I was kind of going crazy in a way. I remember once the maintenance man came over and I'm like, I'm about to hold him hostage. Like, I haven't seen a person in a day. Can I offer you some water? When I was 2 months old, I was adopted. Well, in foster care and then adopted. So I've got a very different past than anyone else really that I know. And I was adopted into an entirely white family. So from the get-go, it was definitely a different experience. And I feel like a lot of that roots back to the fact that, like, I was not supposed to be sitting here today, fully cognitive, smiling, expressing these emotions. Like, that was not guaranteed for me. Not everyone gets to say necessarily that they are given a second chance at life. And I am proud, and I will say it loud, that I was given that.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Sonderverse show. Today we are starting our first episode of season 2. Season 1 has ended, unfortunately. But today I'm really excited to introduce you to our first guest of season 2, Julia. Julia, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm so excited.
We've been talking before, leading up to this episode, but we haven't caught up properly in a while, I would say, since working together. But I'm really excited to dig deeper into kind of your story and some of your kind of connections, life and all that kind of stuff today. So yeah, really excited to have you on, and thank you for agreeing to come on to the show.
Of course. Yeah, life's changed a lot since we last caught up. So this is going to be great.
It has indeed. So first question out the gate, I want to know, as a 22-year-old female, are you excited for the future?
Yes, I am. And I think that I've gotten to a point where I've had to switch my mindset on that. I think being a senior in college and having to wrap my head around the fact of what's being talked about with the post-grad world, the job market, the economy, the cost of living, all of that. It is so easy to fall back and be negative about it and worry about it. But I think I've gotten to a good point where I've been able to switch that and know that I don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay. But I know myself so well, and I know that I would never live a life or put myself in a position to be unhappy. I could be working some 9 to 5 in an office in Ohio, but somehow I'd find a way to have fun with it. So yeah, I think switching my mindset on it and being excited about it, not only because I don't know about it, but it's like, I don't know what's going to happen in a year. I don't know what I'm going to be doing a year from now. This is the first time in my life where I don't know what I'm going to be doing. All of college, I knew I was going to be taking classes, working, getting my degree. All of high school, the same thing. Everywhere academically before now has been the exact same. This is the first time in my life where I genuinely have no clue what I'm going to be doing in a year. And I can choose to be scared about it, but I've switched it, and I'm actually so excited that I have no clue what I'm going to be doing, because it's like I could be living some crazy life on the West Coast. I could be surfing in Hawaii. I could be, I don't know, baking cookies up on the East Coast. Like, I have no clue, but it's so cool to be 22 and have no clue what I'm going to do with my life, but know that I have a path and have goals. And so I know I'm going to reach those. And so it's just whatever path I kind of choose to take over these next few months that's going to bring me that way.
Yeah, definitely. The possibilities definitely are endless. Like, the potential avenues that you can go down. I know when I've been speaking to some of our previous guests who are kind of like me in their 30s or getting close to their 30s, they do feel as if the paths begin to narrow. And I've kind of coined it previously, like the 20s are your free trial period where you get to just go and try stuff and then see which route you want to take and put your subscription money towards. So yeah, I remember that feeling. I had the same when I was getting towards graduation of like, is it anxiety is it excitement? And they're both kind of the same feeling in the body in terms of like, adrenaline rush, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is exciting. So you were telling me just before we started recording, you graduate in May next year, right?
Yes, I graduate in a few months, which is so freaky. And
in terms of not just yourself, but with your friends and your kind of people in your close network, are they in the same kind of mindset? How come you've changed and switched that mindset of being now excited of the endless possibilities? Is everyone else in the same position as you? Is it something that you've uniquely, just changed your mindset yourself? How come you've come to that kind of resolution so far?
I think I've realized through these last 3.5, almost 4 years have been the most growth I've ever experienced in my entire life, as a lot of people say going through college. I grew up in Rochester, Minnesota. People commonly know the Mayo Clinic, best hospital ever, right in my backyard. And so with my parents, my whole family worked at the Mayo Clinic, worked practices. And so I had a lot of pressure to go into healthcare. And so when I came to college, I went into healthcare and I hated it. And it scared me because I thought that that's what I wanted for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot of strength and I guess stepping out of my comfort zone to realize for the first time in my life, I was wrong about something really big. I thought that that's what I wanted since I was literally like 2 years old, since I was cognitive of the fact that a nurse existed and that you could work in a hospital. And so it was actually once I changed my major that I saw a huge increase in just everything else around my life. It felt like once everything started sticking, I started getting excited about things. It was so hard to get excited about the future when I was so unhappy in what I was doing. And so now I am in business marketing and I'm going to be going into sales post-grad. So I'm very excited about that. But I will say it did take that momentum to do that for me. I wasn't excited at all about even the future. It's weird because I would think ahead and it would end at graduating. Like I had I would think forward and it was like a big cement block was the day I graduated and there's nothing else out there. And I couldn't think, it was just like a empty kind of universe of nothing. I couldn't think of anything that I wanted for myself and I wasn't excited about anything. Once I actually found something I'm passionate about and loved in college, like that's why I would tell to any young person, if you don't really know what you're wanting to go into, it took me going to college and failing to figure out what I loved. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have ever figured that out if I would have just off the bat decided to put myself in a box and go live in Rochester and do just the nursing program right there. I decided to go to a public university and experience that. So I will say I have a very supportive, I'm very lucky. My parents pushed me so hard. I have people around me in my box who, not that they're not pushed in the same ways, they're pushed just the same. But my parents are very much like, go out there, do it all. Like, they don't want to hold me back. They're never people to want to say, oh, well, we're going to miss you so much. Like, stay here. I've always had this dream of moving out of Minnesota post-grad. Like, I have big dreams and big goals. I love to travel. And so I really want to get out of Minnesota and experience any other culture but the Midwest. And my parents have always been super supportive of that. Versus I do have friends, people in my circle or even outward circle where they feel like they're obligated to stay close to home. And so I think that me having that push and being excited about everything else that's out there besides what's familiar, that's where it switched my head. Like the unfamiliar is more exciting to me than staying in this box that I've known my whole life. I'm definitely, my mind is everywhere all the time, but it works for me in the best ways because I want to do it all. And I never want to be too comfortable.
True. That
freaks me out. So I think that's where it helps me in a way. It is easy for a lot of people to, and I will say like with the housing costs, I don't even blame them. Move back home, stay in our hometowns, grow from here then because it's comfortable and that's totally okay. And everybody's got their own path. Yeah. But I've decided that's not what I want for myself.
Yeah.
So.
No, I respect that and appreciate it. And everyone is different. They have their ways that they want to, navigate and stumble through life. And, if this is the one that you've settled on, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Kind of you touched on there in terms of where you might want to head. And I kind of want to mention how we know each other. So we met each other only virtually. We've never met in person, but virtually we kind of made a connection. And I think we hit it off and we sparked, the minute we started to connect. Your energy, your enthusiasm is super infectious, and you are super ambitious, super driven, and I respect it so much. So through our workplace, you came on as a summer intern. Is that what it was classed as?
Yeah.
And you were supporting our team in the inside sales team. And you were working on many different projects to kind of really improve a lot of the things, processes, systems, etc., that we might have within the team. And you looked at that from a whole global aspect. So you were working with people in the US, you were working with people in Europe, myself. And we kind of buddied up. I'm pretty sure you buddied up with some other people as well. And we looked at some projects together, and that's kind of how we got connected initially. So we got matched as buddies, mentor-y kind of relationship in a way. And how long were you at LabCorp for again?
Yes, May until August. So
until August.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, and you got a lot done in that time. I would say you had a really good impact. I think there's two things that really struck me when meeting you and getting connected with you. One was obviously you could see the enthusiasm and the drive that you just have. Like you're I don't want to say fiery, but you have a fire. You're not like aggressive fiery, but you've got like this kind of determined, like what you want to go for, and which circles. Like you've got a really good knowledge for finding the right people to kind of connect with and absorb the energy off, but also bounce them back at the same time. And I think secondly, it was when you left, actually. I mean, I really appreciated the message, like the touch, like the lengths that you went to kind of give nice feedback and just to kind of like close out how we buddied up. It was really, really nice. And part of what you said was, let's stay connected, kind of like, the opportunity is always there. Like, let's not be strangers. And so many times I've had people send that message, whether they've left the companies that I've been at and they've departed. And then we've maybe sometimes sent the odd message. And to be fair, that's kind of how we have, the odd thing on LinkedIn. But I was like, how do we take that further? Because the message that you wrote was, honestly, it kind of warmed my heart. It was really nice of you. And not many people do that. Not many people go that extra mile to just really acknowledge and kind of appreciate the time, even though it was short, it mattered, kind of thing. So that's something that really struck me as like a really strong characteristic that you have. Now, whether that is just something that is innately inside you, or again, if it's part of your family and your friendship networks that have kind of baked that into you as a human being, whoever's done that or whatever's done that, obviously appreciate it. It's obviously going a very, very long way. And I think you are just a very good networker. You are, maybe it's just because you've got a very bright personality and all that kind of stuff, and because you are driven, but you know how to talk, you know how to kind of articulate yourself, position your thoughts in other people's minds. Like I immediately got it straight away when you started talking to me and you were digging questions from me like, what did you, Kyle? How did you get to this position? I kind of want to do a similar thing. The curiosity that you have of just pulling information from people's brain was very admirable to see. So I think you've obviously got very good key characteristics and personality traits that I think already are going to take you very far in life. So when you say you are excited for the future, I 100% believe you in what you say there. And I know for a fact, you've just got that kind of brain and personality that will take you wherever you want to go. At this point in time, I know you said that there's probably some different avenues. If you could put your finger on one thing that you wish you could do going forwards, what do you think it would be post May 2026?
It's a really good question. So I'm very, very fortunate that within my family, part of my family owned a business. And have you ever heard of neurofeedback?
I have not, no. Well, I am in the UK, so,
Yes. Okay. That is true. And it's very up and coming and very fresh and new and innovative in a way. So that makes a lot of sense. Neurofeedback is this new non-invasive way of pretty much in a way rewiring your brain. So it's this super exciting new technology where you go in, and I actually did it in Colorado in August and it was awesome. I had this helmet put on my head with all these little things that touch different parts of your brain.
Yep.
And for 40 minutes, I sat there with my eyes open, my eyes closed, and it literally just picked waves off of my brain.
Wow.
And then with that information, you are able to create a brain map or QEEG, and you're able to see weak spots, strong spots in your brain, different way that your waves move. It was so wild because after I sat down with my aunt and she went through me with my entire write-up of my brain.
Yeah.
And things that things about how your brain works. I know how I process emotions. I know how I process grief. I know how I exert positivity, and I know how I deal with sad or depressing mood. Something that my aunt, as much as I love her, she would never know about my brain. And it was so weird because the write-up drew exactly how my brain works. And it's just so freaky that a wave off of your brain can exert that much information just like that. And so with their business, it's only expanded. They have 6 locations currently in multiple states, not up to the Midwest yet. And with my past passion of healthcare, connecting with people and just being an entrepreneur through school, I was able to own my own company with some other students. And that really sparked that drive for me. That in the coming years is my dream, is to take on that part of the business and expand up into the Midwest area of the United States and do something that I'm passionate about, but also something I can put my own touch on. And I've had that spirit since I did that through my school. I'm so glad that I was given that opportunity to experience owning an own company with no crazy stipulations on it because of the university I go to. I'm so glad for that. But that is my overall dream one day for sure. And that's just the beginning. Like that is just the bottom of the pyramid for me. But that is the first step into my future being a woman entrepreneur. So amazing.
Yes. So you touched on it there, and I'd love to dig into this as well. We'll definitely loop back around to this, but the business. So from your time during your education, the business that you kind of owned, you say, with your peers. Talk a little bit more about that, because that's one of the things I remember you telling me when you first started at LabCorp. This is something that you did. You've learned a lot of skills from it, a lot of life, learned lessons, etc. Business learned lessons. Just explain to the audience what went on there and what you learned from it.
Yes, that experience was actually pivotal for my school experience. I changed my major to marketing a semester before that. Didn't quite know if I loved it. And then being able to do that program through the School of Business changed the trajectory of not only school, but my entire life. So very gifted here at Minnesota State University. We're one of the only schools in the Midwest, let alone the United States, that has this program. It's the Integrated Business Experience Program. And through my school, I was put in a company of 18 members, and we literally started and dissolved a company from the ground up in an entire semester. So we created a marketing plan, a business plan, a proposal. We pitched it to a local bank here, and then we got a loan, and then we designed, sourced, received, and then went crazy selling our products. We owned a pickleball company called Courtside Collective, and cool. I was chief marketing officer of the company. So I had 6 people on my team where we did all the marketing for it. And it was an unbelievable experience. Most people don't own a company in their entire life, but being able to do that as a college student. Yeah. And it wasn't anything like it was through the school, whatnot. We, as 18 college students, were given the resources from the school, but started and thrived and dissolved this company all by ourselves. And so cool. It was so interesting because as a marketing major, I don't see those other avenues. I have no clue what's going on over there in finance. Not my thing. Yeah. Operations, that stuff's so interesting. But then being able to see how all that works in tandem together to create something like that at such a young age, and being able to absorb all that information was seriously pivotal. And it was the most monumental part of my college experience. And I have a semester left, and I don't think anything will beat that. So yes, that was so cool.
I think so. I've got some stats about graduates and graduates employment, and this is another reason why I think obviously no matter what, you're going to find a way, and you're going to, whether it's the family-based business, whether it's another role that who knows, you could magically pivot or stumble onto another opportunity. I know the fact that you'll do great in anything that you do is the fact that kind of experience is so invaluable that it gives you differentiation. And I think that's one of the things that's so difficult in today's graduate employment market is everyone can now use ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever to write their cover letter. So no one, that for me, I remember when I was, leaving university, some people would just send out their CV. If you had a stellar looking CV, great, you're going to get the job. Then sometimes it was, okay, you need to write a good cover letter. If you write a good cover letter, send it to the hiring manager, that is going to really make you stand out from the rest. But you can't even be a differentiator that way anymore because people are using ChatGPT to write the best cover letters you could ever write. So all of these hiring managers now just see amazing, CVs and cover letters. So like, how do you now go, right, which one's the best one to choose? Because clearly they've got some enhancements here using AI to kind of zhuzh up all of their stuff. You're going to be able to explain and display to hiring managers, I've had this one experience. This is probably what goes onto the CV. I mean, that's something that you just can't manufacture with AI, is the experience that you've had. That's something you can't get away from, and that will make you a differentiator. Currently now, and I think that's one of the scary things about AI is not only is it taking away people's opportunities because it's kind of like automating some jobs, but it's also making it so hard for people to get in the market because yes, it's making them look good on the CVs and the cover letters, but it's just making everyone look the same. So, it's so hard for them to pick. It's almost like potluck. And I would not be surprised if there's certain companies using AI to then read the cover letters and read the CVs and all that kind of stuff. So even then, it's more of a lottery of you being chosen. I was kind of brainstorming the other day. I was like, if I was searching for a job today, my first port of call would be maybe I'd use AI to write my cover letter and all that kind of stuff. But would you now just write something that just says, please open this on the subject letter, and it opens it up and it goes, please just put a 5-minute call in with me. I can't be bothered sending you an AI cover letter just like everyone else does, etc. And just try to be different somehow spark their attention, or send them a video note on LinkedIn and being like, hey, I know I sent my application through, just wanted to add a face to a name. Like people are gonna have to find out ways now to kind of really stand out from the rest of the crowd. And I think this is shown in some of the statistics, and I'll read them out to you, is that Oxford Economics has said, and I think this is some of these stats are a mixture of the UK market and some of the US market. And I just want to know how you feel about hearing some of these stats. So Oxford Economics has published that for the first time in 45 years, college graduates have a higher unemployment rate than the national average. So those who are leaving college, university are struggling to get new roles, graduate level roles. Americans with 4-year degrees comprise 25% of the unemployed workers market right now. And here in the UK, final year students are having to make an average of 21.7 job applications each year compared to 12 just 2 years ago. So they're having to double the amount of applications that they're putting out in order to get any visibility to job interviews. And apparently, there's been a sharp reduction in graduate postings. So not only are they harder to kind of get the jobs and interview for the jobs because of the competition, but there's even less jobs in the market now because I imagine things like AI are automating all this kind of stuff. But there's been a sharp reduction in graduate postings in the UK. So there's been 78% reduction in human resources roles, HR roles, a 46% reduction in marketing roles, and 42% in accounting roles. So like, I remember when I was growing up, everyone was like, uni, go to university. That's how you're going to get like a good way in life. And I've now come to this age and say, if like my little brother was to apply today, I'd be like, I don't know, bro. Like I'd do an apprenticeship or something like that in order to kind of, one, avoid student debt, because God, that makes me cry every day when I see that number going up. But two, I've seen some people get the same invaluable skills without, having to get a degree sometimes. So it's very scary, I think. And I've obviously been there, done that. And you're now on the cusp of leaving and going into that world. Like you say, you kind of maybe already have something in the pipeline ready for you. But how do you kind of, hear them statistics? And do you feel with any of your peers, any of your friends, are they having that same level of worry and concern about, are they going to be able to get a job once they leave university, leave college, etc.?
Yes, absolutely. When I was applying for internships, I was astonished by the amount of applications where it had a button and it was saying that it was going to be reviewed by AI, and by, if you want to turn this off and not have your resume or cover letter reviewed by AI, it will be put in the bottom of the stack pretty much. And your odds of your resume being seen are less likely than if you agree to have it viewed by AI. And that blew my mind. I actually this is crazy. Last night, actually, I bumped into someone who is graduating in December. And he said today he had his 31st job interview, and 31st time also being denied. And his reason that he was denied today was because he was overqualified. And that was for an HR position. Yeah. And I have friends that graduated last spring who are still looking for jobs now in December. Yes, the job market is so intimidating. And it's funny because you see on LinkedIn and you can see how many people clicked to apply the job. Mm-hmm. And I will see a job that was posted 2 hours ago and it says it already has 200 applicants. And that really just puts it in perspective as well. Entry-level jobs having 200 applicants. I do also understand that we are getting to the time where we are graduating and people are looking for jobs. So that could be a realistic number. Mm-hmm. But a lot of those people that are also applying at that jobs have been graduated and have been trying to look in the job market.
Yeah, just a backlog kind of thing.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Even though I do want to be an entrepreneur, that's not something I want in my life right away. I think it is very important to build almost more connections within the industry. I don't want to go straight into that when I graduate. My goal is to get a job in corporate and be able to work in marketing and get that experience, those connections under my belt before I go into anything like that. Yeah. Because that's so important to build that foundation before. I have built a lot being in college, but the biggest lesson I've learned is learning hands-on is undeniable, and you will never grow as much in other ways than you can hands-on. I could have taken a class in entrepreneurship, but actually doing that hands-on is where I got all those abilities and experiences. So I'm even fearful for it because that is something I'm looking at too. I'm looking for jobs post-grad. And it's kind of not ideal for a lot of people now too, because after COVID and with AI, a lot of stuff is remote, and that's not ideal for a ton of people too. It is best case scenario for a good amount of people, but coming straight out of college, in a way, I think it is very valuable to be in person and be in an office environment and be able to learn from your peers as well. And so that's something I've come across too, is if there's 20 jobs to look at, maybe like 12 of them are remote, and that's not best case scenario for a lot of people too. So yeah. It is intimidating. All my peers we're all kind of freaked out. Our professors are real with us too. But that's why it is so valuable having those hands-on experiences under your belt, because nothing is putting you aside nowadays. AI is literally looking at your resume. And if you're not going to have it look at your resume is at the bottom. And so being able to differentiate yourself with either your personality or your connection or a hands-on experience is the only thing getting people jobs nowadays.
Yeah, I love the fact that you just said the connections that you might have to rely on. And I think that is one premise of this whole show anyway, is connections and networks and maintaining people interactions. And I remember my dad, my granddad, other people have always said, it's not always what you know, it's sometimes who you know. And like I said, I think you're an amazing networker and you've got great people skills. In that apprehension of you're going to have to be in that position soon in the future to kind of be doing that, have you already thought about ways that, or have you been shown by, during your education on ways that you can differentiate yourselves? Is there ways that you can beat the algorithm with the AI or something like that? Or will you use your innate personality and superpower really and find ways to get connected in the various different kind of roles and circles and companies that you want to apply for, and kind of get that referral and warm interaction into potentially a role or application process?
Yes, definitely. With the day and age that we're in, where AI is so normalized and just technology is everything, I think nowadays people appreciate that personal connection more. I remember I'm in a sales class right now, and we had a speaker come in, and one of my classmates had asked a question, and they said, with AI advancing and everything, will we see a decrease in salespeople? Mm-hmm. And his answer was no, because at the end of the day, as much as AI is so beneficial and we rely on it a lot, nothing is ever going to beat that human interaction. Nothing's ever going to beat sitting down with someone face to face or via screen and feeling their energy come off of them and being able to have a conversation like that. Mm-hmm. And so something very valuable I actually learned during my LabCorp internship was, I was 2 weeks into my internship and I kind of hit a dry spot where I was working from home. I was remote. I was the only girl who stayed in the house over the summer. So I was kind of going crazy in a way. I remember once the maintenance man came over and I'm like, I'm about to hold him hostage. Like, I haven't seen a person in a day. Can I offer you some water? How's life? And I was kind of in a spot where I was so kind of bummed out because I was seeing my friends doing internships and going to happy hours after mm-hmm. and hanging out with their internship friends outside of work. I talked to Cassandra, I leaned on her a lot during my internship. Mm-hmm. And she was like, what you're going to do is you're going to set meetings with these 5 people. And she sent me 5 people. Mm-hmm. After every single one of those meetings, you're going to ask them to recommend someone else for you to talk to. And you're just going to keep going. And then by the end of my internship, I was sending out 45 thank you notes because I talked to 45 people and those 45 people made an impact on me. And one thing that I thought was so beautiful to see, and it was so enlightening, was those 45 people, one thing they all had in common was they all told me, if you graduate and if you end up with LabCorp, that's amazing. We'd love to see you come back. But if there's a different opportunity you want and you see someone in my network that could help you get there, mm-hmm. let me know and I will give you the resources to get in touch with this person. And I thought that was so valuable. And that was truly the definition of your network is everything. Not only do I have those new 45 people in my network, mm-hmm. but I kind of have their network in my network as well, because those amazing people told me that, do not worry, lean on me. Yeah. And that was amazing. And that's something I've also done at school. When my sales class, again, we've had the privilege of having 10 now speakers come in. And when I have heard someone speak and been impacted by what they said, mm-hmm. I have asked to set up a meeting with them. I want to get to know you. Not only do I want to sit down and pick your brain, but I want you to know me and I want to know you more. And that has literally been the difference for me with making connections. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, nothing is going to beat that human interaction face to face, even that's through a screen or sitting down for some coffee. Mm-hmm. Nothing is going to beat that nowadays. And I think that people see that difference too. That's huge. So yeah.
I agree. And even like you say, face to face on a screen, there is the people out there that they'll stay off screen, and anything more than a 3-person call, they're like, nope, I'm just not going to put my camera on. I'm not going to, show my face, etc. Maybe it's because they're still sat in their pajamas, who knows, and they don't want to be embarrassed. But I have always, unless it's like a town hall or something like that, when you don't need your camera on, if there's anything, if it's 20 people, if it's 5 people, if it's 2 people, I'm always having my camera on. I want people to see my actual facial reactions. I know you can't see all my body reactions, but you can use your hands, and if you're getting, worked up about something, you might be using your hands more, and they can really understand that and feel that. Body language and physical indicators are more of a communication that you perceive more than your speech and all that kind of stuff. So I've always valued the visual part of, at least from working from home, people staying on the camera. And when you were talking about your network, people do coin the term as well, your network is your net worth. Like the bigger the network that you have, the more rich in a way that you are, not just monetarily, but just in terms of life and fulfillment. Like the more people that you have to either lean on, spend time with, have a good laugh with, the more net worth that you have. In terms of your networks, then I'd love to kind of take a little switch here and kind of dig into that. What are your networks like outside of a work context? Like, have you got big friendship groups? Are you one of these that's got lots of different friendship groups? And for example, for me, obviously, I went to university, so I have home friends. I have so many different buckets, and some of them overlap, and it's confusing. Like, I will go see friends on a weekend, and my grandma will be like, "Who are you seeing this weekend? Is it uni friends? Is it home friends? Is it Dungeons and Dragons friends? What kind of friends is it?" So do you have like one big group of friends? Do you have the same home friends and then college, uni friends? Like, how do you set up your social circles?
Yes. So as I've gotten older, the one thing I've really leaned into and that has become so apparent is that quality is everything. Like the people that I have in my life, I can bet your bottom dollar that they are some of the best people ever. They have the qualities that I want to exert someday. Mm-hmm. I can look at the person that I've developed myself into in the last 4 years and pick apart the little pieces of me that I've grown based off the people I surround myself with. And I think that's been so valuable.
I love that.
I have my best ever childhood ride or die friend, Mercedes, at home, and she is my everything. Mm-hmm. And I have other hometown friends, and then I have my college group, and then I have my work friendships and my other random class friendships where we catch up in class every Tuesday and Thursday. We also see each other on the weekends. And I think it's so valuable to have all those different types of friends from different circles, because I know when I go to class that I have these few people that we can talk about this and we're catching up. And then my roommates are like everything. That's actually one of the things I'm going to miss most about college is the girlhood of not only being close to your friends, but literally living in a house and growing together and learning from each other. And I think that is so valuable. And I have now grown to a position where I have such valuable people in my life, and I'm so gifted. And I thank God for it every day. And it is such a blessing. And so I really do think the people that you choose to surround yourself with are a reflection of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I am so glad that I've gotten to an amazing point where I'm so happy with my circle. I wouldn't want anything to change. I am just so talking about my friends makes me beam. And so
I can tell
that's huge for me. That is huge. And I learn something from every one of them every single day. And the people, especially again, since coming to college and having these 4 years to grow and meeting people from my 4 best friends at college right now, nowhere close to home. They all live within an hour and a half of me. I never would have met them unless we came to university. Yeah. We're all from different backgrounds. Our parents all do different things, different cultures, etc. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to be in this position where we're obviously forced to be with each other all the time. College is so cool because we are put in a position where I'm living in a house with 4 girls and it's amazing. And we're around each other all the time, and being able to grow and pick pieces from each other. And these 4 years, like academically, life-wise in general, have made me grow so much. But the people that I've chose to stick and be in my life in these 4 years are going to just carry me through my entire life thus forward. That's the biggest takeaway I've gotten out of these 4 years is the people around me in my circle.
No, that's a lovely insight, and I appreciate you sharing that. So I'd love to dig into, and some people always say that there is not gender differences in terms of ways that friendship groups operate. I think here in the UK, I don't know if it's the same perception over in the US, but they will say that like lads can go 1 year, 2 years with not even connecting, and then they can just like meet up tomorrow and it's like they're best buds again. I've got one friend right now who's living down in the south of the UK. I probably see him physically once a year at best, if that. And the way that we interact is very sporadic on messages. But again, if I see him tomorrow, I still like consider him, he's my best friend. He's like one of my best friends. He's one of the OGs from secondary school. That guy will never leave being one of my best friends in a sense. But we don't need that level of maintenance in a sense. The other perspective sometimes on the other side is that there is this kind of, and I've heard it from my sister, from my mum, from other females in my life, that if it doesn't seem like there's enough mutual effort on the other end, then it seems way easier to cut someone off and out of your life in female friendship circles. So I don't know if that is your perspective, but if that is your perspective or lived experience, does it then become exhausting to have such big friendship groups? If you have to do that level of maintenance and monitoring of like checking in with people, hey, Mercedes, how you doing? How da-da-da-da. I imagine you probably message every other day, like if she's your ride or die from home. But like all of these other people that come into your life, how do you manage them relationships, keep them burning in a way so that they don't die off?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that personally, it is different situation to situation to situation.
True.
A friend like Mercedes, where I've known her, like as far as my memory goes back in my life, I've known her. And we talk every day via phone, but I do live an hour and a half from home. She does live back at home in our hometown. And my whole life is here in my college town. I live here. My job is here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not home super often. But with a friendship like that, I cannot see her in 3 months in person and nothing will ever change because of such a foundation that we built in that friendship. On the other hand, yes, there are friendships where I need to go maybe a little bit more out of my way, but I don't hold any friendships in my life that are exhausting in any way because the people in my life always build me up and I want to be speaking to them. I want to be texting them. I'm constantly sending them funny things throughout the day that I see, or we're sliding up each other's private stories, or we're constantly communicating. It's more filling to have those people in my life. And I'm very lucky that I don't have any draining friendships at this point in my life. And so, yes, there is that difference where I do have to still show my love more. Like that love language changes from living in person. These friends here at school, and then also showing my love to Mercedes, showing my love to my friends at home in different ways because we don't get that face-to-face interaction every single day. But that might mean when we go home, like we're doing it all. Like I might be home for a week and we're going out to dinner, we're hitting the movies, we're like making cookies at her house, we're making dinner together, and we're trying to do like a little bucket list almost in a week. Versus it's easily able to differentiate that when you're living with the same people, around the same people every single day. So yes, I definitely balance my friendships differently, but I'm at such a stagnant point with all of them as well, where they're so easy. And it's so amazing having people in your life that just make it easy. And it's just such a breath of fresh air. Talking to my friends, being around my friends is a breath of fresh air for me. And it's just peaceful. So
that's good.
Yes.
That's encouraging because I've spoke to some of my other guests, and all of my previous guests have been male. So I'm glad that you've come on and given some female perspectives. I really, really appreciate it. And we have kind of spoke about how there is a bit of a epidemic at the moment with male loneliness. There's a lot of men out there that are experiencing either very few friends and friendships, or fickle friendships, or no friends at all. And I can't even, and I know this is a point that I'm very grateful for, and maybe it's a point of privilege, but I don't even know what it's like to have no friends. I have no idea. I can't even contemplate the kind of world that might feel like to be in that position. I imagine it's very upsetting, very depressing and very daunting. And it is interesting to see that statistic is mainly applied to men, that like they're the ones struggling the most with loneliness. And to hear that, and I always find it, I guess guys do it too. We call each other brothers, but you girls call yourselves sisters in a way. It's interesting. At what point do you start calling someone your sis, like, or your sister in a way? Like, what is there only a couple of people that are like that, i.e. Mercedes, etc. from home? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Like all my roommates, and I don't know what it is, but you just know one day, like you just know.
You just kind of say it.
We can sit in a car, we can sit in a room together, we can sit in total silence, or we can sit and be laughing at everything or talking about the most deepest things ever or about the most surface level things ever. And nothing ever changes. And it's when you know, you know. And I have actually heard a lot about the male epidemic with loneliness and it being, they just had the suicide awareness for men and all of that. And that was super eye-opening because, yes, as a woman, I think that something really cool about women. And I will say, I don't know a ton about male relationships. I really don't.
Sure.
But we hold each other to a standard. And not only that, but like we are there for each other through and out. Like when I say sister, I don't say it lightly. Like these are literally my ride or dies.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how a male friendship looks like that. Like I know that, for example, men can get in fights and they're dabbing each other up 10 minutes later. Versus,
that is so true. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with women, it's like you take things more personally because that is literally my other half. Like we actually have to work this through. And I will say it's taken long time and growth and lessons to get to a point where I am able to have these friendships and am able to hold each other to a standard and want the best for each other. Like meeting the right people that were meant to be in my life has been so, like, the growth that I've experienced since then has been unreal. I have such good people in my life. There's a difference between, like, for example, like a man that is nice to you and he like kind of does it and he like gives you attention, or like a genuinely good man, like a friend that is there, or like a good friend, like they want for you, they see you for you, like seeing the difference has been the difference for me. And that has been everything. And so, yes, I'm very blessed to have these people in my life. And it is very interesting seeing a different perspective of it as well, because I feel like when you see boyfriends or male friends together, it's like you can tell who's the closest because they're all kind of just bros together and they like they're dabbing each other up and they're doing their thing. And it's like, you guys could all be the bestest of friends for all I know, or you guys met each other 5 minutes ago. Like men are so weird. They're so interesting. But
we can get that. I don't know if it's an energy thing, whether it's like you can just I know in a way that people say that men stereotypically have less empathy or less emotional EQ, but in a way sometimes we do. Like we meet a guy like just either through mutual friendship groups, and you just have this you'll talk about one or two topics and you go, I like this guy, this is a guy for me, kind of thing. And that's like a weird version of emotional intelligence that we somehow have. We can kind of gauge other guys pretty quickly. But yeah, talking of connections and ride or dies and all that kind of stuff, you recently had Thanksgiving. Did you go home for Thanksgiving?
Actually, we went down to South Carolina, me and my whole family and my cousins and aunts and uncles. And so my family lives all over the United States, and we don't often get to spend a huge holiday like that all together. And so we finally made it a point to do that, but elsewhere, and be able to have that experience. So yes. Awesome.
So you got together. I mean, I'd like to kind of dig into that. I mean, you've got a somewhat unique situation family wise, and would you like to tell the listeners a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a very unique situation. I am so gifted to have the family that I do today because when I was 2 months old, I was adopted, well, in foster care and then adopted. So I've got a very different past than anyone else really that I know, and such a different perspective on family and gratefulness, gratitude towards that, and just taking that for granted because I did have a very different situation than the average person. Something really different about being adopted. I am mixed, obviously, and I was adopted into an entirely white family. So from the get-go, it was definitely a different experience. Yes, than being born into a family and seeing almost my cultural reflection in that. And so that has been huge growing up. The circumstances that I was born into were definitely not ideal. And because of that, I was adopted. And also because of that, I feel like I've been given a second chance because of the choices the woman who gave birth to me chose, and just the way that I was born and what I experienced through that. It was honestly a miracle that I am sitting here speaking to you today. Like, genuinely, my mom and I talk about it all the time. Like, I mean, and there's a little bit of religion behind that too. Yeah. My mom, before she adopted me, was struggling. She had miscarriages and then ended up giving birth, and he was born with a birth defect, passed right after birth. So, oh, wow. She got to a point where adoption was a good idea and it was exciting for her. And so she started, cool thing about adoption is you have to go through lessons and stuff. It's almost like school on how to be a parent. And so at that point, she did have my older brother, but they kind of have to test you and make sure that you're a good person. And they're not just going to a baby away with a psycho. So going to these classes, and this is such a crazy story. It's such a strong testimonial to my faith and also just my story in general. 9 months before I was born, she was in a store and she heard this song, and the lyrics, I mean, you're in a store and you hear lyrics and you're never really like listening in on the lyrics, but something about her, she locked in on it. And it was these lyrics about this pretty much baby being born, mommy, like it was, I can insert them and you can throw them up, but sure. She remembered it. And then it was so strange because about a few days later, she had a dream that night. And in that dream, she had my brother, and she was walking around in a grocery store and she could see my brother, and he was right next to her. And in the front of the grocery cart, that little baby part, there's a baby girl in it, but my face was like fuzzy. Right. And it was so weird. She thought it was so strange because at that point she'd only had my brother. So she was keeping a journal at that point, had wrote it down in her journal, and then didn't forget about it, but kept it in the back of her head. And also when she was looking to adopt, she wanted a newborn baby. That was something that in a way was important to her because she had that taken away from her so many times. And she wanted to experience raising a child from born. So exactly 9 months later, she got a call saying that they had a newborn baby, and you have pretty much like 30 minutes to get down here because newborn babies tend to go pretty quickly. She went down to the hospital, and then they sat her down and told her the backstory and how we don't really know what it's going to look like. You're taking a risk taking her home. She could literally not be cognitive, or she could be fine, or she could be in between that. We have no idea what the future is going to look like with her. And my mom was like, no, this is meant to be. Like, she had the signs leading up to it. She knew that was meant for her. And so she took me home, and here 22 years later, I'm sitting here, my brain's fully working. Hopefully. I mean,
it seems to be.
That's okay. I work with it. We take the punches and we roll with them. But yes. And then it's awesome too. My mom could not get pregnant, had whatnot before. Right after I was adopted, got pregnant with my little brother. So me and my brother are exactly a year apart. And so yes, what they say about science and serotonin and how that affects everything in your life and happiness. So that's a super cool attribute to that as well. But yes, I was given a second chance. And not only that, but I was given to such an amazing family. And I've been very gifted to know them since day one as well. That's been a blessing for everyone. And so, I will say that also ties into what we talked about before. Like, I have huge goals. I have huge ambitions. I have all the stuff I want to do for myself. And I feel like a lot of that roots back to the fact that, like, I was not supposed to be sitting here today, fully cognitive, smiling, expressing these emotions. Like, that was not guaranteed for me. And because I am guaranteed that now and I live that life every day, why would I do anything else? Like, why would I set the bar low? Why would I not have these huge dreams and want to do it all? It's like, not everyone gets to say necessarily that they are given a second chance at life. And I am proud, and I will say it loud, that I was given that. And so why would I not switch my mindset and want to experience exactly what God gave to me and that experience that he wanted for me? So yes, that's a huge, my adoption is who I am to my core. Mm-hmm. Me being adopted and me experiencing that is the foundation of who I am today and who I will be and how I treat the people around me and whatnot. So
that's beautiful, Julia. Appreciate you sharing that beautiful backstory and the life experiences that you've had. In terms of experiences, you've talked about a wealth of positives there. What were some of was there any difficult parts? I imagine maybe as you're getting more into adolescence, as your brain's more emotionally aware, more and all this kind of stuff, and trends and patterns. How was your family with you, and how were you with your own self? You seem to have great control, it sounds like, over your own mental state. Like you said at the very beginning of this call, you managed to change your perception, and now you're excited about going into the world post-graduation, etc. I imagine being a mixed child in a white family has its perceptions, or especially with kids growing up and coming into the home, there was questions probably asked. Was there any difficult points? How did your parents prepare you for that? Was it always an easy ride? Like, this is just my family, this is how it is, I feel comfortable. If anyone has questions, ask me and I'll answer them, or shove them up your ass kind of thing. I don't care, this is my family. How have you kind of navigated that kind of point of life and growing up? And you seem incredibly comfortable, like right now, who you are as a person, as your family is. But were there points where you kind of got put into this moment of questioning, or struggle or anxiety about things?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And they've come in waves and in different points of my life too, which is super cool. Like, growing up, it was super weird because I don't think I fully knew I was adopted for a while. It was like, obviously my brother and I being a year apart, we were riding the school bus together every day, walking into school together. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I never even fully processed that I was Black and he was white. And I think that was almost a blessing in a way. I did grow up in a very predominantly white neighborhood, went to a very predominantly white elementary school. My middle school is kind of when it started intertwining with different parts of the city I grew up in. So that was definitely the biggest part, was when I went into middle school and was like, wait, what? There's other Black people? This is awesome. Like, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was an alien. Like, obviously I saw them around, but I was never friends necessarily or interacting normally with other people of my color. And then also just in the sense of, I think as I've gotten older, I've become more aware of the average person. For example, I can look at my roommate and I can look at her mom and I'm like, holy crap, you guys are twins. Or they mirror each other's personalities, or they mirror each other's mannerisms. And I think as I've gotten older and more aware, that's where I've kind of seen the difference, where it kind of became more real that, like, I do look at my parents and we look nothing alike, like genuinely nothing alike, not only because of our race, but because of just like in general,
facial features, all that kind of stuff.
And like, even like my brother's being introverted and I'm just this huge extrovert, and like just our personalities are so different. And that has been so interesting for me because it's opened up so many questions. And I don't know my birth parents, and people ask me this all the time, actually, like, why haven't you wanted to know yet? And it's so weird, but I really do believe in gut feeling. Like, I believe I have never had a time so far in my life where I've wanted to go and do the research or find a private investigator or whatnot, or do the works to figure it out. And I think that because I haven't had that feeling yet, I'm not ready for it yet. Like, once that's going to open a huge, not necessarily can of worms, but that is huge. That is me meeting the people biological to me that are strangers. I have grown up in the same hometown as my sisters and my mom. I don't know much about my dad. My mom, again, no empathy wise, because she was a stranger to me, passed away when I was 16 years old. And that was a weird feeling because, again, that's the woman that gave birth to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, oh, I've never met you before. We live in the same city and we could have walked past each other on the street and I would have no clue. That's something really weird to kind of wrap my head around. Or when I talk to other people about it, they're like, whoa, that's actually freaky. I live in the same city as my two sisters. I know of them because my parents are very open about my adoption with me. They have no clue who I am. I follow them on social media. They have no clue. And I think that's super cool too, because I don't know, but in the same sense, it's like I'm so comfortable where I am in this moment. I know that's something one day I'm going to want to know because I do. Like, I know that I'm going to want that to be a part of my life someday, but I'm figuring out so much other things right now that it's like, that's something I need to give my all to. That's something I'm going to need to give emotionally and physically too. And I need to sort this stuff out first because I want to give that my all. And so that's been something cool, like coming to being 22, living these years now in the unknown, but also knowing a little bit, but wanting to know more, but also feeling like it's not the right time yet, but also trusting my gut. Balancing all that has been so weird, but refreshing because I am such a strong believer in like, I will know when I'll know. I will have that feeling one day and it will be right.
So how you say, you know bits of it, and you say that there has been that acknowledgement and difference visually, personality wise between I guess you would just refer to them as your parents. I guess your parents. Is it difficult when, even to today, like being around everyone, and like, does it ever dwell on your mind, or is it just such second nature now? I mean, I imagine there is an emotional well, like you're saying, your gut instinct is to not go and explore that right now because it probably could just open a hose of emotions that, may be residing inside. I don't know. Would you say that there is any kind of seeking for closure on anything? Would that provide closure, knowing your biological parents and information about them? Do you even need that closure? Like, is that even a thing that you even look for or yearn for? Like, you seem to be so happy and content with life as it is. But I imagine, like you say, there is probably a curiosity that scratches away sometimes inside you. So I appreciate and I respect the fact that you rely on gut instincts rather than logic a lot. People will go for logic and maybe even give in to peer pressure. Like, people say, oh, what don't you want to find out? Don't you want to know? But your gut, I guess that's what keeps you very sane going forwards, is relying on your gut instinct on when to pursue things and when to know things. I can't imagine what that's like. Do you know? So you say you're mixed. Do you know what your ethnic background is at all?
Yes, I took a DNA test when I was younger, and I think that was actually really interesting too, because that made it more real. My mom was fully white. My white side is fully Scandinavian, and then my mixed side is West African and Dominican.
All right.
So that is huge, kind of growing up too, is the culture aspect of it. Mm-hmm. I think I wasn't as aware of that when I was younger. It was more of like, oh, I'm just mixed and people around me are white and that's okay. And I'm me. But as I've gotten older and just seeing, like, I don't have that part of my culture. I don't speak Spanish. It's funny because we actually went to the Dominican 2 springs ago for spring break. Mm-hmm. And just by looking at me, they could tell that I was. Really? And they were trying to, I'm like, sorry,
English only.
Like,
yeah.
And I think that in a way was weird. Not weird, but it was interesting because
yeah.
like, wait, that is a total part of my culture that I have no attachment to and I know nothing about. And so I guess in that way, I have always, I mean, obviously my mom and I meeting, my birth mom and I meeting is not an option. And that's okay. I'm fully okay with that. Again, she's a stranger. It would literally be like meeting a stranger. Like that's the best way I can explain to someone who doesn't fully understand that. But it is weird because I have had that thought about my biological father. It's like, we probably look a lot alike. And that's what freaks me out is like, again, I feel like it's the mirror effect of, I look at my parents and again, we don't have physical similarities. I've seen pictures of my birth mom and I'm like, yep, that's my nose. Those are my smile lines. Like, that's it right there. But I'm like, my big eyes, like the facial features I have, like my, everything about my self in general. It's like, that's something I never thought about until the last few years.
Yeah.
And it's like so interesting. Like sometimes I walk and I'm like, we kind of look alike. Like, you know, I wonder if, you know, but it's never, I don't know. It's just so strange. And then the cultural aspect of it, I think, again, I say I want to explore that someday because when I have children one day, that's going to be they're going to have that in them. And I don't think that because I never got to explore that doesn't mean that they don't get to explore that. So I do want to educate myself and I do want to learn more about it. And that is on my to-do list. Like seriously, that is something that's huge for me and very important and that I want to dive into in the next few years as I go into post-grad and get to discover myself more because I want that opportunity for my children. But yes, it's definitely different growing up and having to kind of decipher that and like seeing the people around me again, like mirror their parents and always wondering, like I, for days can make up mental visuals in my head of what that could look like and it will never be put on. And I think that's such a mystery, but it's also super cool. Yeah. And I think I'm excited about the idea, but I'm also erring on a side of caution because you just never know how those situations can go, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I resonate with one part of the story in terms of the identity of being a mixed race person. I'm quarter Jamaican, and people will argue whether I'm not. I've got a running joke with some of my friends that I'm actually 3/16th Jamaican, which is less. And that's because my grandma's got some German in her and all this kind of stuff. But I consider myself quarter Jamaican. And that has come with lots of identity issues as I've grown up. As you can tell, I look very white, but I've got another friend, Jacob. He's quarter Jamaican, and his complexion's much darker than mine is, but he has straight hair. But I'm the one who's been given Afro hair, so technically I could have a flat top, but I'd look absolutely ridiculous. And we did try that when I was younger, but I just don't have the complexion for the haircut, etc. So I've had these kind of, which side of my, culture and identity and ethnicity can I really align with? I've always struggled with that part of myself, especially because of a lot of my friends are either mixed or black as well. For example, your hair looks amazing. That is something that you could probably say is kind of adding to that. Have you, as you've grown up, struggled as you've learned more about your background and your ethnicity and the fact that you're mixed and there is cultural probably backgrounds to your family, biological family? How have you gone through that? Like, for example, my mum and I think my mum, my sister, my aunties, my mum and my auntie being half Jamaican, my sister being quarter, they straighten the hair and stuff like this to fit in with the crowds, etc. Have you had that same kind of mindscape in the past? And at which point are you at now? Are you fully kind of embedded in that, in who you are? Are you still exploring? How have you gone through that as growing up and getting to this point today?
Yeah, that is actually such a good question because that is a huge part also of like my past and everything. Growing up, obviously coming into a white family, and that was back in 2003 where we didn't have TikTok videos. There wasn't YouTube. It wasn't as easy as it is today to learn how to style and do ethnic hair.
Yep.
And my mom had no past in ever having to deal with curly hair. My brothers both have. So that was definitely interesting growing up. I had the cutest curls when I was younger. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, my hair is getting long. What do we do with this now? Like, we're freaked out.
Yeah.
The white, I don't want to say like white person, but like the Tresemme shampoo is not working anymore. Like,
yeah.
Not really doing the job. Like, we've got to figure this out. I'm brushing my hair, but why am I brushing my hair? Because now I have an afro, but like, wait, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, what do we do about this? That was such a battle growing up, was honestly figuring out my hair. And it got to a point it was easiest for me. And in elementary school, I hated it. You can throw up a picture. I had an afro, literally had an afro because we didn't know what to do with it.
As in like, just like that way kind of.
Literally, like, it was cutie. I wore a little headband.
I can't wait to see that photo. That's going to be amazing.
I figured kind of out how to make it work. I'd like put a headband on and it would pull it back a little bit. So it wasn't so like, boom.
Yeah.
But yes, I have curly hair and I have thick curly hair. And so that was a learning curve growing up. Then moving into middle school, high school, it was just easier to straighten it. And that was my identity. I always had straight hair because the people around me had straight hair. So I kind of wanted straight hair. And it was like shoe influence. Like, and also I didn't want to deal with it. Like, I don't think you've ever had a big head of curly hair. Maybe your sister, your mom can attest to it. It is work. Like, having big curly hair is some work. And that was the easiest for me. And then going into high school, yes, I still had straight, my black natural hair. It was down and natural in a way, but it was straightened every day because I didn't want to deal with it. And then I went through a phase where I finally was like wearing it natural, but I wear it in a bun because I didn't want to wake up that extra hour early every single morning and style it, because having curly hair, you don't just wake up with a perfect laid set of curly hair. Like, it can be scary some mornings, like actually scary. So
yeah,
that was easiest for me. And then coming that summer before I went to college, I finally was looking at other girls, seeing the braids, and I was like, that's cool. I kind of want to try that. And I tried, like, wait a second, this is cool. You're telling me that I can braid my hair on the 1st of the month and then I don't even got to touch it again until the 30th. Like, this is sick. And it's a whole new world for me. And being in college and being so busy, I'm a full-time student. I work so much. I am a dog mom, friendship wise. I appreciate that extra hour of sleep every morning. And so, yes, since then I've kept my hair in braids, and it is awesome because it saves me that time. But also, for the longest part of my life, I was wearing straight hair, and I was looking at the white girls next to me and we had the same straight hair. And I was like, shoot, people hear the phrase whitewashed. Like, growing up, people would call me whitewashed all the time. And I was like, whatever. God forbid the girl doesn't want to do her hair every morning. Like, just even the way I was raised, the way I speak, the way in general, my friends, like, okay, you can say what you want about that. But I think that me beginning to do braids was a step towards getting closer to my cultural identity as well. And then I braid my own hair. It's a passion of mine. Yeah, it's awesome. It's been cool to be able to experience it and have other from that. But now it's like fun for me. I get to do this once a month, and I know the exact color I mix. I know exactly how I do it. I have my scalp memorized at this point. It's awesome. And it's one step closer. That's
a sentence I've never heard before. I've got my scalp memorized. Is that what you just said?
This, like, eyes closed at this point. Like, I've done it so many. I think that's something very valuable as well. All the women that always did my hair were Black women who were taught by their moms. Again, I'm going to learn someday, and odds are they're going to have curly hair and they might want braids one day. Yeah. And me being able to sit down and have that skill and do my daughter's hair and never have to worry about her being afraid about having an afro or waking up with crazy bedhead, whatever she wants to do. I think that me beginning to learn about how to take care of my hair, how to braid my hair, how to do protective styles, how to, I guess, just manage this has been awesome. And then being able to, again, mirror that one day with my future daughter. So she never has hair insecurity ever. And then, post-grad though, I think I'm ditching the braids. In the next few months, I'm going to try something else out for a little bit. I'm going to go natural, I'm going to go not natural again. Cause that will take a little bit more growth, but
what have you got any inspiration so far of what you might go towards?
Yes, I want to go brunette, but blonde is my identity now. It's super funny. I do the biggest Halloween costume distributor in America is actually headquartered here in Mankato, Minnesota. So I did media for them the last 2 Halloween seasons, which is super cool. And it's so funny because this even happened yesterday, happens all the time. I have very particular hair, very unique hair.
Yep.
And then with this being ran as ads all the time and my videos being ran and paid for constantly, at least once or twice a week, I'm stopped and someone's like, I know you. And I'm like, it's the hair probably mixed with the social media of it all. Me being ran as an ad like 100 times in the last month. But I think in a way my hair, and I hate to say it, but it's cool. It's become a part of my identity. Like I don't know me without this hair. So that's going to be huge growth for me to maybe switch it up. And maybe I'll go back. I don't know yet, but.
So how long have you had your hair like this? How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for 4 years now.
4 years. And you're kind of doing it in your formative years. So I can understand why it feels like part of your brand, part of your personality is like, well, this is Julia. Julia has hair like this and that's what she looks like. And that's where you're making a lot of formative connections as well and all that kind of thing. I think for the longest time I was so reluctant. I basically just had a little mini afro all the time just because I hadn't been educated on what to do with it. Like my Jamaican grandma, I would arguably say that because from what I'm aware of, I think she moved over here from Jamaica when she was pretty young, and most of her family moved over to Chicago. She was her and her auntie or something like that, I think, moved over here. I don't know the full story. Maybe it's complex. I don't know. But basically, she moved here when she was quite young. So, and she didn't have many other family members around her. So she doesn't have any of the typical Jamaican kind of, even just like personality traits, cultural kind of like even cooking, like doesn't do any of that stuff. And it's only when I think my mum was more inclined to go back and get more intertwined with cultural roots of Jamaica. So like making curried goat, making jerk chicken. And it's the whitest jerk chicken you've ever eaten in your life because my mum's making it and she doesn't know how to make it properly, but she gets better every time. But it's so weird that like when I grew up, it was like same thing. I just had this hair. Everyone around me just had white haircuts. So I didn't know what to do it. So I'll just get the hairdresser to just snip around the side so it looks at least like clean. And then as I got older and I got linked in with my friends, that's when they were like, oh, come down to Normanton. We'll go to the black barbers and they'll give you a fade and they'll know how to cut your hair. That was one of the biggest frustrations for me. It was like, people would like, Afro comb my hair out, or they in a white hairdressers, they just have a comb, but they just comb my hair out. Then they'd cut it, but then because they've got no concept of it, it looks super short and tight to my head because they don't realize that Afro hair, yes, when you pull it out, looks this long, but you wake up the next morning, it coils back down. So my haircuts used to look absolutely awful all the time. But when you go to a black barber's, they're used to it. They know what shape to like Afro comb your hair out, what level of length to take off, and they can kind of see and understand how that's going to form back down into your hair style that you're going to do day to day when you've not combed it all the way out kind of thing. And yes. I had that same transition of like learning about how I've got to cope with some of these features that I've got, etc. And I think my sister still to this day still straightens her hair. I don't know if she goes into humid climates, maybe it still goes back to this kind of curly very curly way, but it seems to be straight all the time now. Maybe that's just what she's used to. And again, I would say her complexion is very similar to mine. We are very fair skinned, so maybe it's what she feels the most comfortable in. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's very interesting, and very interesting to know that you do your own hair. That's a very cool feature. I thought that's something that's painstakingly would take hours. I imagine it does, right? To do it by yourself.
Yeah, the first time I ever did it, it took 12 hours for everything.
Oh my God.
I've gone to 5 now because I have my head literally memorized. I could do it with my eyes closed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, going to college and becoming broke, it was like we either gotta cough up that money every single month, or we gotta figure it out. And so we figured it out, and I don't know if I'll ever get it done professionally again.
Curious to know. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was like some impactful connections in your life, and maybe if there's one here on this exact topic in terms of understanding yourself more culturally and your background. Is there anyone that's been an impactful connection to get more engrossed in that side of yourself and that the connection to your ethnicity? Was there a person that I know you said, was it high school? You started to interact with more people and it was more integrated. Was there ever like that first person that you bumped into and you started to be like, oh, is this what you do? And and all this kind of stuff. Is there anyone that's been that person for you?
Yeah, I definitely had a few friends in high school where I was just known for picking their brain on everything related to even the way that my skin absorbs moisture is different than a white person, like down to my hair as well. Everything about having ethnic features and just being African and Dominican is different than a white person from so many different aspects. So yes, I would literally pick girls' brains in classes about what braiding hair do you get? What do you use for conditioner? I'm on YouTube 24/7 trying to figure it out. Like YouTube was my best friend through my hair journey. That was before TikTok was really a thing too. So YouTube. And then coming into college, my freshman year roommate, her best friend was Black. And that was when I really figured it out. She's the one that taught me how to braid. She was the one that would braid my hair all the time in college. Mm-hmm. She was the where every time I had a question or I needed to send her a picture of a product, straight to her for approval. And she has literally been my lifesaver in figuring out my hair. And she has made the difference. So I think finally not giving up in a way, but taking the L and just like leaning on everyone else for advice. Like the amount of conditioners I've tried to finally find the one that works for me. And that's been definitely the difference in my hair journey and just figuring out what's that inspiration too. Mm-hmm. And yes, I've picked little bits and pieces off of people throughout my whole life. And yeah, I still got a lot of growth to do as well. Like I will not say I know everything at this point too, because I do choose braids and kind of forget about it.
So yeah, I get that. And I think my friend, I would probably put it down to Jacob, was my first friend that I got that was mixed race also. I remember first school, like primary school, it was me again who looked very white as a kid, but because I knew I had Black family members, the only other Black kid that was in the school, was his name Josh, I think it was, I just hung out with him. Like he was my friend. Like he felt normal to me rather than, familiar, not normal, familiar to me rather than the rest of the kind of classmates. And then as I went into secondary school, I can't remember anyone from secondary school that was of any kind of background other than just a little white kid. And then going into secondary school is when I then saw other friends that again seemed familiar to me, looked like my grandma, but also was in the same situation. They're not fully Black, but they're mixed race. They've got a white mom or a Black dad. In fact, I think most of my friends have got white moms and Black dads, which is interesting. And yeah, it was nice to have them because they taught me so much. And I think even though they were mixed race themselves, I think it's just the uniqueness of that because my grandma came here so young, she didn't have that kind of cultural background and she didn't have other people to teach her that. It just never was brought through, where I think a lot of my other friends, their Black family members have come to the UK, lived in the UK, passed down their traditional and cultural knowledge, and it's then passed down to them. But they've still got that level of obscurity sometimes, because then they've also got white family members too. So they taught me a lot, they did, and I really appreciate them for that. What are some other impactful connections that you've had, whether it's career life, personal life? Who is there anyone right now that kind of is really either taking you under their wing and really supporting you on some of the kind of future paths that you want to go down? Is there anyone that has really built you to be the person that you are today, other than obviously your family members? I know obviously they can have such a massive impact, but is there anyone that comes to mind?
Definitely. I would say two people off the top of my head. The first being Tim Vossen. He is an amazing salesman here in Minnesota. He lives an hour and a half away, but makes it a point to come down to the university constantly and interact and speak to students and pretty much just help them in the best way that they can possible. And he was the difference definitely in the trajectory of me thinking differently about my future and also mindset in general. I do want to point it out too. He introduced me to this book, The 4-8 Principle.
Okay, cool.
Which single-handedly changed my life. Absolutely. Like the amount of sticky notes I have in this thing, I literally refer back to it every single day. The mindset switch of just in general, wanting to live a joy-filled life, your self-fulfilling prophecy, just mindset, everything. He, for me, was one of the biggest influences in changing my mindset and speaking about it. And then also just being that guidance for my future as well. Mm-hmm. And then definitely career, academic, just overall a huge inspiration, and who I'm actually going to be referring you to talk to next, Jake Ward. Holy crap, that man. I kind of, as I was saying before we hopped on this, I just spoke with him last night, even for an hour. Mm-hmm. I leave a conversation with him. My serotonin's boosted. I automatically want to go think or change my mindset in so many different ways. The way that man thinks so strategically, mm-hmm. and so I've never met anyone like him. I've never heard someone speak like him. Mm-hmm. He is so inspiring. He is what, in a way, I would call, kind of, as people refer to it, like an American dream. Yeah. He grew up here, obviously, had the resources, the people around him, but got to a point in his life where he just did not love what he was doing. And mm-hmm. then, I mean, he'll more, but he had this crazy idea, wrote up a business plan, and ran with it. And now he's the the CEO of his own company. And it is one of the fastest marketing agencies in the United States right now. And he is unreal. I literally, if I could book an appointment with him every other day just to hear him speak and talk and get wisdom from him, I would, because I've only known him for a few short months, probably 3 now. Yeah. But it switch in mindset, the switch in motivation, confidence that just hearing him speak has given me, and how I know how I'm going to get my goals and how I'm going to get them, not only what they are, but how I'm going to get there. Yeah, yeah. The epitome of all of that. And so I'm very excited for you guys to speak. He is so enthusiastic, and yeah, I could hear him talk for hours. I'm like, you need to write a book or you need to get a podcast, like one of the above.
Well, we can maybe trial it out for him. Hopefully, fingers crossed, get that opportunity to speak with him. I am so excited for that, and yes. I love hearing that. And again, it's finding the right people that provide you shared knowledge, shared value. That is just, again, you could probably go ask ChatGPT of like, how can I go set up a business tomorrow, and it will give you somehow a magically super simple 10 bullet point plan on how you could go about doing that. But will it tell you the pitfalls that you might encounter, the difficulties of working with different people, unforeseen circumstances, all these kind of things that you might not actually experience through just an AI sticking everything together from human knowledge? And equally, like, is he local?
He's local, yes. And that's the coolest part about it. He believes so much in the community. And that's why he comes to the school and he builds these connections with us too, because he sees the talent here, and oh gosh, he is unbelievable.
Just the local knowledge as well. Like, you can't get that from Google or from whatever. Sometimes not even from a book. Like, the local knowledge, if that's where you're looking to start up, etc. And again, it's not always what you know. It's sometimes who you know. Network is net worth. So it's really cool to hear that there is some. Do you consider them mentors or just impactful connections that you've got, like relationships and rapport that you've built, or are they an official mentor for you, kind of, in a way?
I will say, yeah, I would definitely consider both of them mentors, and they both had such an impact on my like goals for the future. The ideas that they have given me and the ways that they think, and it's something that I've learned being 22 years old, is it's so great being able to know people but older than me, who have lived these experiences, who have these stories. And those are the people I think that I've learned the most from in these last few months, just kind of getting ready to graduate, are just hearing those personal experiences. And that's been huge for me. And in a way, I do have these mentors, and those are people who have impacted my life. But like, I will never sell short the people I have in my life too. I would not be the woman I am today, the growth that I've made since I was obviously 18 years old, 16 years old. I mean, anybody can look 4 years, 8 years, and just see such a huge difference in the person that they've become. But oh my gosh, the people I have in my life today have formed me into the woman I am today. And I cannot be more happy about that too. Having amazing women in my life, for example, has been the difference. And yeah, these mentors have shaped me well academically and then seeing forward, but to my core, I am the woman the women in particular I've chosen to surround myself with. And I think that has been the difference for me. That is
beautiful, Julia. And I think that is where we could probably come to a close. I'm so appreciative of your time. You are inspirational, even to me. And I think some people will always think like, you know, how can someone younger than you be inspirational? But you can. You bring so much energy. You bring so much smile to everything. And I really appreciate the time that you've took to kind of talk through stuff. And I know we could speak for ages and ages, but I know you've got places to be today. And we have covered some really interesting, deep topics. And it's really kind of you to kind of express some of them personal moments. I'm pretty sure there's going to be people, and I'm hoping both women and men inspired some of the stories that you've spoke about today. And, you know, if people put stuff in the comments, I'll let you know. You can come and look at the comments. If we get any comments, who knows? But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time today, and I've learned so much about you, and I'm so excited to watch from the sidelines. Not all the time. Hopefully we'll still connect, and who knows, maybe at some point we'll cross paths in the future. But I'm excited to see where you go with things. Be sure that by May 2026 and onwards, I'll be keeping tabs on what's happening and the movements that you're having in life. Hopefully you land something amazing. I'm pretty sure you will. But yeah, I'd be interested to know if you've got, whether it's something from that book or just something from life. Is there anything that you would tell our audience today? If there was something you could let them take away, something either that you live by, or just something that you think would be worth people taking away from this conversation?
Yeah, I think something that's been huge for me and something that I've implemented into my life in the last year in particular that's been huge is gratitude. The biggest thing I stand by is you can't worry and be grateful at the same exact time. You can worry for 5 minutes and be grateful for 5 minutes and switch on and off, but that doesn't work in tandem. And how to switch that and be something I've done with my own brain that has helped me. Obviously, we have our negative moments. Obviously, stuff doesn't go the way we want. But every time, in a way that something negative or I want to have a negative thought, being able to learn to switch my brain and be happy that I'm able to have that thought. Yeah. I'm about having to take an exam, or I'm worried about my finals next week, versus being so grateful that I'm able to be in college and take that exam and have a degree. And I think that has been huge for me. Like seriously life-changing for me, because I think it's so easy to get in a hole of just being worried about things. And obviously easier said than done. I am 22 years old, experienced a lot of the life experiences that come by experiencing more life and just so much better. But I think learning this at a young age has been really good for me. And I think it's been the difference in my mood and the way that I speak to people now, and also absorb negativity, but also spread positivity in a way. So yes, gratitude, seriously, like waking up every morning and thinking of those 5 things that you're grateful for, thinking of those 5 people you're grateful for, and 5 things that for that day. And then also thinking that before bed too. Your mind is the most vulnerable right before you go to bed. And so there's a difference between thinking about everything that went wrong that day, or sitting there and visualizing the life that you want for yourself and every detail about it. Like visualization has been huge. And those 15 minutes before you go to bed, when your mind is so vulnerable and it literally cannot tell the difference between reality and this dream that you're thinking of, because of those neural when you do that. And that has changed my life tremendously as well. That's why I know I'm going to reach the goals that I have, because I see them before I go to bed every night. They're right there. I can touch them practically. My mind doesn't even know the difference between that and what reality is. And so that's huge.
I love that. I love that so much. And I have also come to realize that gratitude is, I think I've always had a basal acknowledgement for it. I think I had a dark moment during university where I was kind of ridden with a lot of anxiety and sometimes panic attacks and depression. And coming out the back of it is what really taught me to be grateful for a lot of things. And I think it was the healthy part coming on the back end that I now have. I took so many things for granted before I had that episode in my, that year or so, or year and a half. And it was only afterwards. It's like when you said last night, you might have a bit of a fever. It's like when you have a cold. You then, when you're laying in bed and you can't breathe, and your mouth's so dry, and your nose is so bunged up, it's only then that you go, God, I wish I could breathe again. And you take it for granted that all these little things in life, that once they disappear and they go away, you wish you could have them back. So I love that sentiment of gratitude. It's something that I've also started to really focus on. I do a small practice myself of just every day. I write down, I've got a little journal, 1 line a day. I write something that I'm grateful for. And it's worked wonders for me just to reflect on that, even a line. And if you're saying like, do something like go think about 5 positive things before bed, 5 things that you're grateful for. I can imagine that can change people's worlds and life perspectives and move mountains. So I think that's probably the best message you could probably give.
For sure. Mark Twain said, I'll put this in super quick. He said, I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. We spend so much worrying about, oh my gosh, am I ever going to meet this person? Oh my gosh, am I ever going to get that job? And you spend so much time focusing on that none of that actually is, you just switch your perspective. I think that's huge. And I think of that quote every single day. So
I love it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. It's been lovely speaking with you, Julia. It's been nice catching up with you. We will put any relevant links in the comment section down below. There's not necessarily anything for people to come and find you as such. We'll just hope that your impact in the world somehow becomes publicly available at some point. But we'll definitely follow your story along. And I really appreciate the time. Looking forward to who we've got to speak to next. And I'll end it there. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.